Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and every once in a while I find a video piece and you just have to watch the whole thing. So here we go.
Now, Link2 team, and he's going to talk a little bit now at the end of the day, not about Link2 itself, but about the unicorns that we have available through the platform. We also have acorns available as well, but we have a number of unicorns that are available, and specifically we asked him to come in, if he would, today and talk to us about Ripple, which is one of our fastest selling SPVs on the platform. We have some Ripple available now at $23. So Joe's going to talk about the value, why the value is there, how to get it, etc. Joe, do you want to talk a little bit about that? Show some of it on the screen, but
actually, I think a good place to start the conversation with a group. I don't know if all of you have been on a couple of hours earlier to listen to that panel discussion that Matthew Lamero moderated with some really terrific blue chip investors. I found that discussion really fascinating. And most importantly, I extracted from what each one of those speakers said something that I thought really resonated in regard to the Ripple equity story. So as Bill said, we have a significant amount of Ripple available on our platform. And as I listened to those commentaries, I thought to myself that there was a lot of what they said that actually was very apropos to Ripple. So for example, Greg Kidd and Tim Draper had said that one of their major investment theses is always to find opportunities for disruptive access into market sectors where you have legacy structures and institutional barriers that create frictions to entry. Ripple is doing precisely that in terms of revolutionizing the way that payments, especially international payments that involve multiple foreign currencies, get cleared and settled. They're making it much cheaper, much safer, and much more quick to process those payments. And they currently already have, upwards of 300 financial institutions in roughly 40, 50 countries around the world that are utilizing their back-end infrastructure system to do that. Bart Stevens had talked about the fact that blockchain is an emerging technology that we should be investing in, because if anything, what's the current pandemic crisis has proven exactly how resilient and robust that technology platform is in terms of its ability to process large, transaction volumes at scale, even at a time when many other types of processing systems and markets are being impaired. And in the case of Ripple, their payment system is actually built on exactly that type of blockchain and distributed ledger technology. So it works on distributed ledgers and is super secure for that reason, but also capable of processing payments at very, very high speed. Kelly Rodriguez talked about the fact that this is a great time, price-wise, right, to be investing in unicorns, because the prices are down. There are more people selling than there are buyers, and there's a roughly, I think he said, 30% under the market's about 30% underbought, meaning that there's 30% fewer buyers than there are sellers on the order book at Forge. And so what he'd suggest is this is actually a great time to double down. But his word of caution also is that you need to be far more choosy and select the unicorns that have the balance sheets that allow them to sustain the current crisis. Well, in the case of Ripple, you've got a tremendous entry price available on Link2, which I'll speak to in a minute. but you also have that strong balance sheet that Kelly said you ought to look for. This is a company that has about 250 million on the balance sheet today, and they have another asset other than cash that's hugely valuable on their balance sheet, and that's their own cryptocurrency reserve. So part of their clearing and settlement process at Ripple is based on an internal currency that they create on their blockchain system, and that's called XRP. Well, the amount of XRP that is on their balance sheet as opposed to out in the market and being traded today, that treasury stock, if you will, of XRP today at today's prices is worth $5 billion. So you've got 250 million in cash, but you also have 5 billion of XRP on the balance sheet. So you've got a very, very robust financial position at Ripple. With that, maybe I can share some slides, Bill. Is that okay?
If you want to, Joe, I've got on the screen right now, if you can see it, just the app, I've got it at the
oh, yeah.
Ripple spot. So if you want to cover some of the bullet points that are on the screen, and then we can actually roll through the app and show people
Sure.
how they might be able to buy it.
So Ripple, as Bill said and is indicated on the Link2 app, they did a Series C round just recently in December of last year, at which they raised 200 million, and that valued the company at just under 10 billion. The share price on a fully diluted basis that's implied by that valuation is about $61.49 per share. The Ripple stock that we have available via our SPV is at an equivalent of $23 per share. So a roughly 66% discount to that round, right? I think a good marker for that is if you look at the big payment infrastructure companies that are in the public space, and I look particularly at two big companies that operate what they call payment switches. These are communications networks that link financial institutions and allow them to make payments with one another. I looked at FIS and Fiserv, both trade on the New York Stock Exchange, I believe. Those stocks are off by only 20% from their 52-week peaks. So they've suffered relatively less damage than many other sectors, but they're 20% off. And in comparison, Ripple today is available at 66% off their last December round. I should also tell you that in our view, that December valuation against, when compared against public market comps, was relatively conservative, right? Because at that 9.8 billion valuation, Ripple was effectively being valued at approximately 15x a revenue multiple. So EV to revenues was approximately 15x. The public market companies that I just referenced at that time were trading at about 25 to 30x on the same multiple. So I think that the fact that the company was valued in December on relatively conservative terms compared to public market comps, and the fact that you've got a 66% discount to that valuation based on the price of the stock available on Link2, both provide, even at this time of market turmoil, a significant amount of downside protection for investors. So Bill, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. So if you go to the Link2 app, you can buy a number of products that are there. Some of them were here today, and look for the one Ripple that's available. Ripple 1 was sold out, but this Ripple 2 is available, being sold at the equivalent of $23 a share. The cool thing about this is the minimum at $10,000. You will be able to find Ripple on places like Forge and SharesPost and other secondary market sellers. Typically, there's $250,000, $500,000 minimums, sometimes as low as $100,000. But this is part of what we were discussing earlier and that Greg was discussing in his talk, which is democratizing the space for the average investor so that you can build up a portfolio. Actually, if you came in today with $50,000 or $100,000 to invest, unlike a typical angel session, you could invest in 5, 6, 7, 8 companies by going through the Link2 platform and getting involved with the SPVs. It's as simple as deciding how much you want to invest, reviewing the order. These, as I said earlier, the operating agreement and subscription agreement are all filled out for you digitally as you go through the process. So everything will be there ready to go. All you have to do is confirm the purchase and submit the order. And then we'll get back to you about the wire for it once we've determined that you've met the accredited investor standards. And that's as simple as private investing made simple. Joe is part of our.
Now, just a reminder, folks, that can be done on Link2. That's LINQTO. And that is one of Greg Kidd's investments that I talked about in the video I uploaded prior to this one. That's probably one of the more interesting videos I've found on the internet since I began this channel having to do with Ripple. You can basically, for a $10,000 minimum investment, buy Ripple stock at $23 a share. Now, when they valued a few months back, as I recall, it was at $60 a share. And I think you're able to get this discount because Greg Kidd might be pretty connected. I don't know what the whys of it are, but it's fascinating. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family there is a way to pick up Ripple stock at $23 a share with a $10,000 minimum investment. Thanks for listening.